it was really to send a message. You can't come poach.
Yeah.
You're not going to come in here and just
there you go.
pluck who you want when you want, and hopefully start the wake up call for other businesses. And I think it's begun. It's just happening a little slower than I'd like.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show on this Friday morning. We are driven and powered by Go Chevrolet here as always. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button, as we appreciate that. From Captain America, Representative John Stefanski, who was in here talking NIL. He was also talking sports gaming and the mobile capabilities to sports gaming coming to our state, hopefully, as he says, before the Super Bowl. We go now to Gordon McKernan in studio with us, the G-Man, one of our good friends, and has been very influential on what is happening in and around NIL. And is a good friend of ours. As we said, I was calling his son's high school games. Every snap John Gordon took for that state championship run, the 3-title run with University High, we documented on the radio and was able to form a really good relationship with G, and it's carried on, and we appreciate to see you, man. Good morning.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of exciting stuff. We just talked to Representative John Stefanski about NIL.
That
yes,
was him in the parking lot?
Captain America.
Yeah. Okay.
That was, and he's head of redistricting right now, which is a hell of a task.
Did he talk about whether he's running for higher office? Did y'all get into that?
He didn't say it publicly, but I think that we can all kind of count on that. I think attorney general, governor, and even maybe president, right?
I need to reach out.
Yeah, you did.
I think he was thinking, he was thinking the same thing.
He definitely acted like he knew the G coming in, right? I mean, hey, we need to talk.
Ferrari around town.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to be calling him when I get in the car.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. Just like you made happen with Kayshon Boutte, an NIL deal, which I think has gained and garnered a lot of attention. You broke the news earlier this week.
Right.
And Kayshon has been a friend of our show and been on here routinely and talked about the relationship that you have from your point of view.
Right.
Just that deal before we kind of get into the grand scheme of NIL. How did that work out, and what do you expect from that?
I'm already seeing good things and expect good things. We actually signed the paper yesterday in my office, and his parents were there, and got him a bunch of swag. So I think they were excited. Really, would it happen? You think it's going to happen, but they were eager to get it done.
Paper.
We were ironing out all the contractual details this week, because you have to, compared to Alexis Morris, which is a much more vanilla thing.
Sure.
This one has many more moving parts, and you have to almost treat it like I told him. Like when you sign your pro contract, there are going to be clauses in here, right? There's going to be responsibilities in here, and if you do something wrong, you might have to forfeit money back. So the same thing here. We've got to understand and abide by certain standards and responsibilities you have, and he seems to get all that. Nice kid. I mean, he's really soft-spoken, as you know, except for if you keep bringing up when you talk about cars and how fast,
he kind of sits up,
how
right?
fast cars go. Let me tell you what, everything changes in that kid. He wants to race me car to car. And,
I know he doesn't.
I don't
think he does.
Take him to the runway, coach.
Not yet. Not yet, Kayshon.
Let's wait a couple more years when you got that contract.
That's right.
A couple more deals before we get there.
Yeah.
But you're so recognizable.
Yeah.
Everybody in town, when you walk, I walked into a restaurant with you last week. Everybody, picks their head up and says, you can hear the whispers. What does this do for the G brand?
Right. Well, right? So two things I think it was for my brand. It introduces me a little more to a segment of people that are aware of me, but probably don't know me and don't know that I'm passionate about LSU sports, LSU football, college sports, right? Yeah. And people see me as a guy on the billboard or on the truck. And this, now they're seeing, well, he cares. He actually cares about things we care about. Yeah. And so I think it's introducing me maybe more goodwill in that area. People get to know us a little better, think about us a little differently. And the second thing really was, because I do love LSU, born and raised, parents with all my family, kids. It was really to send a message. You can't come poach.
Yeah.
You're not going to come in here and just
pluck
who you want when you want, and hopefully start the wake-up call for other businesses. And I think it's begun. It's just happening a little slower than I'd like to see.
So that's what we talked about. That's what NIL needed.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about it, we would reference business owners, and I would use it as the example because of what I saw at University High. And not to say that was some team that was bought and put together, but it was an opportunity for John Gordon to play around really talented players coming up. And you cared about U High,
Right.
you cared about sports, you cared about giving people opportunity, and I always thought that checked all the boxes
Right.
for NIL. Is that how you got there? I mean, is that really kind of what drove you to it?
Yeah, it is. You know, like I said, the love for U High I had, and I went there, and parents, same thing. I mean, my family went from U High to LSU, all of them, parents and grandparents, and I just wanted to see what I could do in that arena. I don't know, when I had some good success with Alexis, immediately people started talking, and then, you know, started building momentum, and I thought, wow, I think there is an opportunity here for my company as well as to help LSU and help these student athletes.
We've heard about collectives. We've heard about this as the model that Texas A&M is using in Texas and some of the schools in Florida with the legislation and the way that it's written. We were talking to Stefanski about what's the best way to do it here? What's the legal way to do this here in Louisiana?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and that's unknown right now. Certainly the booster organizations for each college would love to be involved, but right now, my understanding, looking at the law, and maybe Stefanski talked about it, it's not clear cut, and probably is against that happening. So whether it's a TAF or someone in Louisiana Lafayette or wherever trying to do that, I don't think right now it can presently be done. So that makes it incumbent upon business owners to kind of figure it out themselves, like they have done in other states. And I'm not sure the exact structure. We're talking about it, myself, other business owners, trying to figure that out, the best mechanism to do it.
Have you seen the energy around that with business owners that you were hoping for?
Yeah, it is. But it is a little slower still than I expect. And I think that's trying to figure out how to handle the booster organizations as well, right? No one wants to step on the toes of the booster organizations. They're needed. TAF's very important to the success of LSU, and trying to figure out how to work it out. You can't coordinate it with them, but trying to see what they're doing independently while we're doing it. It's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. I think to some people you are seen as like a knight in shining armor when you talk about Kayshon, right? I mean, I think when you talk to an LSU football fan and they think of Kayshon wearing crimson and winning the Bolitnikoff, I mean, that's scary to think about, right? So where do you go from here? How do you? I mean, like, does everybody? Ali Gay, I hear, wants to come back. Do you call him? Do you?
Yeah, any business owner can reach out to any student athlete, right, and strike a deal. It doesn't matter if you're a tennis player or a football player, and vice versa. Any student athlete can reach out to any business owner. And I've started fielding calls from various athletes around the state, interested in trying to do it, and we're being very thoughtful and deliberate, and have been in talks and negotiations this week, all week, with different players.
You're a busy dude. Like, I mean, you're tough to get in touch with. How much time does this take?
Yeah, it's an inordinate amount of time.
I imagine.
I had no idea.
Right.
It's taken away a lot from my law practice and my other companies that I run. But it's just getting your handles on it, get to understand it, getting the processes down, and I think we're getting there. And my marketing department is pivoting very quickly. And learning it, and I'm fortunate. I have a couple of people in the marketing department. My marketing director, Alex, is a fanatic fan, and so when we just happened to this, his eyes got bright. And
I can help.
He's hit it. I mean, he's all in it. So it's been good.
So will we see Kayshon on billboards and trucks?
You're going to see lots of things like that.
Nice.
And we're going to be purposeful with it and how we do it. I'm not going to launch him on a TV commercial right now. Just kind of subtle, and as I told him yesterday, I said, you have an opportunity to define who you are, right? I'm just not going to say, Kayshon, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I want you to be, what do you want people to know about you? I think that's important, that the LSU community understands who Kayshon is.
Yeah.
And then somehow mesh that with who I am and my brand, and it's a win-win for both of us. So
absolutely.
I think that's important. I think he appreciates that.
I think from every LSU fan, thank you.
Yeah.
Really and truly for what you're doing, for at least caring. Right? I think that you were kind of the first one that has stepped up and said, hang on, this isn't going to happen in and around our state and around LSU. Right. And so thank you for doing that.
Happy to.
Was it the threat of Alabama actually being able to take Kayshon Boutte that made you realize, like, weren't you at the duck camp? You were like, hold on, this can't happen here. This can't happen to LSU. Was that kind of the kick in the pants?
Yeah, that really was, and I knew Coach Saban when he was here, right? I knew.
Sure. You know his style.
I knew things, and I knew the manner in which he can operate. Right? Yeah, and when you start hearing those rumblings, I think it's time you got to stand up and try to make a difference, and that's what I did. I figured, like, I might overpay for market value for Kayshon and probably did. But given what the symbolic, what it meant to the fan base and to everybody else, it's worth it. But
no, I think he did.
Yeah.
Actually,
he got to limit out twice.
Right. From that standpoint of Kayshon and kind of bringing a lot of attention to that, I mean that really is kind of the opening of what could be Pandora's box, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because he's the one.
He's the one. That's
Yeah.
right. That's what I'm thinking. So, little unique situation. I don't think it'll happen like that again with LSU being down so much and so far behind because of the disconnect between losing Ogeron and Kelly coming in. We were just behind, and we really need to make a move.
We've got 600 people here watching live, and the thank yous that are rolling in to what you have done, I think stepping up is evidence to what people. Have you had a chance to talk to Brian Kelly? I know that you and Kim Mulkey have a really good relationship. Have you had a chance to talk to him?
I had a chance.
And what were your impressions?
He reminded me, in a good way of Saban. It was very businesslike, very organized, very purposeful in what he was telling me. Knew Coach Ogeron and Coach Miles well, both of them.
Sure.
Completely different interactions and personality. Those are good old boys and talking, laughing. Not Brian had a good personality, but there's just a discipline that I saw and that I witnessed reminded me of talking to Coach Saban years ago.
It's great to see you. Thank you for stopping by this
morning. Thank you so much for having me.
I guess you can take the Ferrari.
Oh. Why not? Yeah, that's all bad. It's all yours.
When we come back, we will talk to Joey Molinaro of Barstool Sports, formerly of Barstool Sports, as we will talk to him about what's next. But that is Gordon McKernan. You know him, and as we've always said, the billboards, the commercials, the trucks, all that stuff, whether you like it or you don't like it, we all have one common denominator, and that is a love for LSU and his stepping up and doing what he did for Kayshon. And it looks like for athletes to come is going to be very influential on the LSU brand in the NIL space, where they were immediately behind on National Signing Day. I think Texas A&M, Texas, and Alabama proved that, but they have made up a ton of ground because of getting it done with Gordon McKernan. Thank you very much, man.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Appreciate
good to see you.